This week we're finishing A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, otherwise known as It's Okay If This Is Your Can of Worms.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
We're finally done with ACOMAF. This book, I was so mad at this book at the end of it. So my terrorist of a dog likes to eat books, and I deliberately left this book out on the counter within his reach overnight to see if like a sign from above would tell him. And it did. And he ate it.
Demolished.
The whole thing.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about these people anymore.
It's not like it's not terrible.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like we've both read this book now multiple times and like it's well done. It's like a good story, but there's just something like exhausting.
That's it. And that's what we said at the beginning of every part that we reviewed for ACOMAF is fucking exhausting. Yeah. Like there's just too much. Yeah. There's too much crammed into too much.
Yeah. Because I mean, we did 4 parts for Korean Parachute.
Korean Parachute?
Crash Landing on You. There we go.
I knew where you were going with that, and that disturbs me.
Yeah. It's isn't that a game like bad movie titles? That's as close as I got. Because I mean, we did 4 parts for that, and each part felt fun.
Yeah.
Like I was excited
to talk about the next part.
Yeah. I was amped up on fucking all kinds of adrenaline and whatever. But this, I'm tired.
Yep. Well, okay, so let's just do it so we can be done and get on to more fun things.
A general note, the ending of this was nonsense.
Yeah.
I have read the ending of this book probably like 3 or 4 times at this point. I still don't really know what happened.
It's weird because it's obviously setting up for the rest of the series, but like this could have been its own book.
Yeah.
The last 150 pages, there's so much in here. Why? Yeah. Like, especially what happens with her sisters.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there was multiple events that I'm like, I don't really understand what is happening right now.
It's just it's unnecessary, but we left off where they were shot out of the sky. Rhys was carrying Feyre and
ash arrows everywhere, and blood, poison.
And then he's gone. And he gets captured.
That's it.
Yeah. And so she has this little rage monster inside her that goes, "That's my man."
That's my man. Sorry.
Oh
it needed to be said.
And she suddenly can winnow everywhere in the blink of an eye after training for months, and just her rage love of Rhys is now fueling her ability to do all of the magic. So she hunts down the scent of his blood or something.
Yeah, and then she does some like Tarzan tree topping.
Yeah. Like shades of ACOTAR a little bit, where she was hunting the trees, or was that, I don't know, that could have been part of this book too. It's just so much happened. Or maybe I'm thinking of an entirely different book.
I feel like one of those dogs that's looking out a car window and like they're looking at things, but you know that there's nothing happening. That's how I feel right now.
The ears are back. You're just smelling the world.
I'm just here. That could have happened here. It could have happened in a different book. And
it could have happened in the Throne of Glass series for all we know.
I am not currently here. But I vaguely think that happened.
Well, so she tracks him down. Mm-hmm. She tracks him into a cave, which again, her total rage somehow blocks the crippling fear that she had for 3/4 of this book of caves.
Yeah. And also her emotional thing about killing people. Because
oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up, because, okay, so she charges into the cave.
Yeah.
She viciously murders, like
murder. Sorry.
What's that from?
I don't know. It's from something though.
I know it is. I just don't know what it's from.
Murder. Okay, sorry.
We're here. We're living your life together. It really bugged me that she goes into this cave and she's happy. She's like
Yeah.
slitting their throats with glee.
Yeah.
In revenge for how Rhys is hanging by his arms and his wings are bloody and he's beaten to a pulp.
Yeah.
So her rage murder thing happens, but she had a meltdown at the first third of this book.
Yeah. More than that. It was like
She was in a depressive spiral because
Yeah,
she was thinking about she killed 2 people and she was forced to do that.
Yeah.
And now she's suddenly, I am the Dark Lord's woman. I will kill everything.
She got over it real fast.
I know.
And I mean, I get it, but also I don't get it. Because she doesn't have a second thought about killing all those people for the rest of this book.
No,
So
not
it's
at
like,
all.
what is really the difference between... Because really, in this situation, you killed like 15 people to save one person, but in the first thing, you killed 2 people to save the entire world.
Uh-huh.
And this is the one that you're not really concerned about. And I have questions.
It's inconsistent character development.
Yeah.
But she saves him. Yay. The star-crossed lovers are reunited and he's in really bad shape, like poisoned or something. And her solution to like figuring out how to save Rhys is to go hunt down the cereal again.
Yeah, because that was the part that I was kind of confused about, because I know she was pretty comfortable like the first time she hunted the cereal and she like got answers she needed, but I just don't know that would be my first inclination.
If she can suddenly winnow everywhere, I would think, he can't travel, but I can. Maybe these Fey people who fought in a war 500 years ago and probably experienced gruesome injuries just like what he has right now, they would know how to treat those injuries.
Yeah.
And instead of asking Cassian, she hunts the fucking cereal for an answer.
Yeah. And there's like a throwaway line where she says something like she's too tired to winnow back, but you were like winnowing a bunch and then you like killed a bunch of people and you weren't too tired for that. And like several days have gone by and now all of a sudden you're too tired to winnow.
But she's not too tired to hunt the cereal.
Yeah. I am confusion.
So my take on this is that this was a plot device to get her to find out about, shocker, they're soulmates, because no one back at Velaris is going to tell her that, and Rhys isn't going to tell her that. So we need an outside party to break the news to her.
Yeah, because I didn't really understand why she was so upset.
Yeah, that was also dumb.
Yeah, because I mean... she doesn't really even know that much about mates, like no firsthand experience of like interacting with people that are mates. So I don't get why it was such a freak out for her.
I think I skimmed this heavily. If I remember right, she's more angry that they lied to her, like lied by omission, not really the soulmates piece.
That's fair, but I mean...
that doesn't justify her reaction.
No, because I mean, if you equate it to being in love with someone, like that's a hard, thing to tell someone. So wouldn't mates be even that much harder?
Yeah.
So I don't know that it really required her little meltdown in a cabin.
It's so dumb. So she gets the how to cure Rhys from the cereal. She finds out about the soulmate thing from the cereal, goes, fixes Rhys, takes him back to his friends, and then
dumps him in the mud.
Dumps him on the ground.
That part was kind of funny.
But like, she's supposed to
love him.
Yeah. She just murdered like 6 fucking people for this guy. And she dumps him in the mud because oh, you didn't tell me everything.
No shit, girl. Like, people have not been telling you things since the very beginning. And this is the only time that you get like really bent out of shape. Which, I mean, I get. But then this next part, like her painting the cabin.
It was so dumb. We didn't need that.
No, it felt kind of yucky. Like it's one of those things that you like maybe keep to yourself and like don't paint all over someone else's house. With your probably questionable painting skills.
I know. I picture, like a 12 or 13-year-old who like likes to draw.
With the like anime eyes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Feyre. Sweet Feyre.
That just made me, it gives you the ick.
Well, because she drew eyes over like the mantle. She drew Amren's eyes.
Yeah.
On like the
Yep. It just did not feel good.
No. And she's in this cabin, which is like a boys' cabin that they like a vacation club or something like that. And she's waiting for Rhys to show up, but like you're the one who ran away.
Waiting either, because she just like she is, but she's pretending she's not, and she's just like, I need somewhere to be upset about things. And like I get that, but like also
it's like the way a child reacts.
Yeah. And I mean that kind of fits for her character, because I feel like throughout this she's been a little bit not emotionally stunted, but I
think that's an accurate description.
Yeah. So I mean maybe this reaction really isn't too like out of pocket.
Like 19?
Ew. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't love that. That kind of ruined everything is fine. Because when you think about it, she's 19 and she's in this next scene having a smut marathon with someone that's 500 plus years. So that's kind of yucky to me. I don't know that that's...
It's okay if it's Bella though.
That's also yucky to me too.
But like, okay, so I did like, so Rhys eventually comes to the cabin and they have a come to Jesus like discussion. And I thought that his explanation of how he found out that they're soulmates, how like, it was basically a mini version of Rhys's perspective from the last two books.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that.
I did too. I kind of felt it was his moment of being an emotionally mature adult, which is weird when Feyre hasn't been a adult throughout any of this.
Yeah.
Because it was like, this is a very reasonable response for someone that's like, okay, I have, done something wrong, but let me explain, like, my trauma has kind of informed this, and I'm not, making an excuse for that, but like, this is why that happened, and I'm sorry. Like, that felt very mature. But then you like put it in the frame of
a 19-year-old.
Like,
but also like the way it was written like flowed really well, because I was like tuning in and out up until that part, and I'm like, ooh, and like flipping the pages, reading every single word, because for some reason I think not having Rhys's perspective through the books was the right move.
I agree.
But being able to read it and see how he felt through these things was like, oh, this is like the conclusion and wrap up the closure I needed.
And I think too, I feel like a lot of women readers, or anybody that identifies as a woman, like, you kind of want that reassurance that your partner also feels the same way. So this was like a good way to not have a POV change, but also get that like affirmation of like, they're obsessed with the main character, and it's like a validation of like, this isn't a one-sided romance. This is like, they're crazy about me too.
I've noticed that in these first-person perspective stories that this is a really popular, not trope, but tool or like writing mechanism, because it's always delivered like via dialogue, but like conversation between the characters. This happens in Crown Duel between Shiv Wraith and Mel at the end, and Shiv Wraith is explaining like, oh, by the way, like in this part, this is what I was actually trying to do to help you.
That is true. It's weird too, because from the outside you would think that would be like lazy writing, but it doesn't really feel that way necessarily if it's well done.
Yeah. And I think this was an example of, I thought it was too much. I thought
a little bit.
I thought like, sorry, this dude isn't going to remember that level of detail.
No.
Like, and why would he explain like at every single point? Like that's like a service to the readers, I think.
Yeah, because when I was reading it, I thought the soliloquy would be a little bit awkward if you're like delivering it to someone.
Yeah, it was like pages and pages of him just talking. Like, oh man.
Yeah, but I mean, it was good for what it was. And then we get a chapter and a half of smut.
So I skipped it.
That's fair. That's what I don't understand is people who listen to the audiobook of this.
No. Have you listened to it?
No, but like I don't know that I could.
Yeah. Because I mean, have you ever seen someone with like drive by with like a phone call on or an audiobook on? It's super like you can hear everything.
You're just at like a stoplight. Is there like I can't even say it out loud. I would feel kind of uncomfy.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I mean, if that's your can of worms that you enjoy, that's not the right phrase.
If that's your can of worms. Oh my God, Katie.
That's not right at all. So yeah, I mean, if it is your can of worms, that's fine. We'll just take that as a positive thing. My can of worms is, I don't know. What is your can of worms?
In this context?
Yeah.
Not going to discuss it on the podcast.
Hoo-hoo.
What was that noise?
I don't know. That was the like saucy like hoo-hoo. Oh, that's
Oh
fair.
my God. Okay. So
Yeah,
yes.
anyway, moving on.
Chapter and a half of smut.
Yeah.
Which, okay. And one last thing is I thought that this was the appropriate level, or not level, but the amount for a book this size, right? Because there's really like 2 major scenes, or maybe 3 scenes in like 600 pages. So yes, it's like prolonged at this point, but it's not like every fucking chapter.
Yeah.
So,
and I also think the placement of it is interesting too when you contrast it with that like 3% smut scene with Tamlin. Like where this smut scene is where you expect it to be in a romance novel. So it's kind of interesting that we still got that like
in the beginning,
shorter, rando one at the beginning that's like, excuse me,
it's a little.
I am not even warmed up to this. Like, but okay, there it is. But yeah, this is like typically where that smut scene is in any book.
And this is where they could have ended the book. And then we throw in everything.
We get thrown into the, I have 3 more books that I already, signed my soul away to publish. So I need to find a way to like connect the plots.
So
fair, get your bag. But
yeah,
also,
whatever. Like how many books did she have out at this point? Because she had the entire Throne of Glass series.
Yeah, but there was some publishing like back and forth between this series and Throne of Glass towards the end. Because the ending ones of the Throne of Glass are kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think she also started the Crescent City sometime during this too. Maybe before Nesta's one, she released one. I don't know the timeline of these. And allegedly they're all like interconnected.
Oh, God.
That's like a lot for my brain to process.
We're not going to try and get into that.
No.
The battle in Velaris, gold to me.
Really?
I actually thought that was really well done.
I thought so too. Yeah. Except I kind of feel like Feyre, the jump in between her not knowing how to do anything and her knowing how to do everything. Was too aggressive.
Yeah, I don't like Feyre, but
I don't like her.
I just don't.
That's fair.
But it was the visuals that she used and like what I want a heroine to do in a book, and like the whole over the top save the city, use magical powers. The description of like the water wolves. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead here, obviously, but.
Well, I think that's what's next.
Well, so after their cozy time at the cabin, they return to Velaris. They meet up with the pack, and then it's time to meet the human queens because they have to show them the orb thing.
Didn't that already happen?
I don't know.
Unclear, because I thought that they already got the book.
Well, they needed the other. Maybe they did.
Oh yeah, they already showed the orb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the human queens betrayed them, essentially, right? That's how Velaris gets attacked.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah.
See, it's confusing.
Yeah, because I didn't even realize that it was the human queens that like sold out Velaris. Because like in my head, I was like, oh yeah, you just figured it out. He knows where the like big city is. But no, that makes sense that it was the human queens.
Yeah. So I think they met up with the queens again, but that was the last one. And then Velaris is attacked seemingly out of nowhere, but it's like right after the queens met with them. So human queens betrayed them. Hybern sends his fairy army to attack Velaris. And this is the scene where they're kind of separated. They're at different parts of the city. And Feyre has her, no, I'm going to protect my own. Yeah. And so she like takes a stand at like the Rainbow Bridge or something like that.
The Rainbow Bridge.
And she like you said, summons all of her magical powers and is like summoning water and then freezing water. And it's cool. Like the description is really cool. And I think that's where Sarah Maas really shines. Is like describing these action scenes. She's got good ideas.
Absolutely.
But she totally stole the water wolves from like the scene in Lord of the Rings.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're wolves, not horses. But come on.
Yeah, it's very similar. That's fair. But I mean, it also like felt really cool when she was
I
doing
know.
it.
I'm not going to complain. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Because I mean, I like this whole scene, but my only beef was that Feyre's escalation. But that happens in every fantasy book. Because I mean, they go from like not knowing how to hold a sword to all of a sudden fighting people successfully. But that's my own personal beef. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I like the description.
I did too. Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Yeah. It was a good action scene because there's not much action in this kind of way throughout this whole book.
No, it's not like it was in ACOTAR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even in any of the Throne of Glass series. Like, I feel like all of those had a lot of, like violent action.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they somehow everything ends up being okay.
Yeah, they save Velaris. And then they decide, oh, well, Hybern attacked us, so we got to go to Hybern. And they decide to sneak into the Hybern King's castle or something.
Yeah, to try to like disable the
cauldron.
Yeah, I was going to call it a pot, but the cauldron is that is true. That's what that is.
The Grand Cauldron, also known as the pot.
The pot. And the part with Rhys being tracked by his magic, it's kind of come up a couple of times at this point, like throughout the last third of the book, I think. But it felt very just kind of thrown in detail. Like it wasn't described enough for how urgent it became in this last part, because he's not here when they sneak into Hybern. And it kind of felt like odd. Like I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to that either.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden he's not there when his mate and best friends and everyone else goes into Hybern to, you know what I mean? Like, why are you going to leave your star player at home?
That's not cool.
Yeah. Because especially if he just didn't use magic, he'd still
be fine.
Is a 600-year-old fighter. But again, it's fine.
It's fine. Plot holes everywhere.
Yeah. But it is interesting. I like how Feyre fails. That probably sounds a little crazy, but like she's speaking to the cauldron about to do it, and then
the cauldron's like, "You liar, fuck you."
Yeah, basically. He's like, "Yeah," and then she fails.
I felt like the cauldron had more personality than Feyre.
It kind of did, because you get everything about what that cauldron is about, like evil, dark, scary, spooky, very convincingly, and then Feyre's just like white paper.
Yeah.
Or Wonder Bread, maybe?
Wonder Bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the king shows up, disables them.
That's what I mean. This last bit is like a fever dream.
So much. And so like, they're losing. the king is here.
Because that's exactly what it felt like when they were all dragged into the throne room. Yeah. And he's like, my evil plan has like worked. That's literally. And then like Tamlin steps
and then
out.
Tamlin and Lucien are like, we're here too. It's a grand reunion.
Literally. It's like the supervillain in every fucking movie.
I know.
Let me tell you my whole evil plan.
Yeah. And so actually that's exactly.
Crying.
They do go over the entire plan. Oh my God.
I'm going to start coughing here in a second. And then for whatever reason, her sisters are like brought out too.
The mortal queens are there too.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the book shows up in Hybern all at the same time.
Yeah. Because so looking back on this, why would Hybern voluntarily pick Feyre's sisters as the test subjects to make this work? Because like now you have two like full-blooded maid fays to help during obviously the war that's about to happen.
I don't know.
Like why would you give your enemy a big ass weapon to like fight with?
My impression was that the queens requested the sisters as like a sample.
But still, like, why would they pick them and not some just like random folks?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Maybe it was like a good excuse to get rid of them. Like they thought the cauldron would eat them.
But they want to be Fae though.
Yeah. But like if it's not gonna work, at least they're getting rid of someone.
A middle finger to Feyre one more time.
Maybe.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like the whole thing was a little bit hazy.
Yeah. So so what's happening here is that Lucien Tamlin made a deal with the King of Hybern to get Feyre back.
Yeah.
In exchange, they allowed passage, like Hybern soldiers can go through the Spring Court to attack the rest of the fairy courts.
Yeah, because are they going after the human lands first or the rest of the court?
Something like that. I don't know. I didn't pay attention because too much going on.
But then they kind of get betrayed, but not really.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Like I feel like we're failing explaining this, but then there's the subplot of the mortal queens made a deal with Hybern.
Which that I don't understand either, because Hybern wants to enslave all the humans.
But if they turn into fairies, they're not humans.
Oh.
So they want to be immortal. So they basically turn over them. I think we're piecing it together.
Yeah. There's some piecing happening.
So
vaguely.
Yeah. Human queens make their deal. They bring in Feyre's sisters. They toss them literally into the cauldron to see if the cauldron can turn them into fairies. And it works.
Mm-hmm.
So the queens are excited. And then in the midst of throwing Feyre's sisters into the cauldron, we get this grand reveal of Lucian, and his soulmate is Elaine. Like, what?
That's what was confusing to me too, because like it was a whole big deal with Rhys, but then Lucian just says it in front of everyone.
Yeah. And Elaine's just like, okay, when it goes swimming.
And she's just there and not really.
I did love how Nesta was thrown.
Same.
And just her one finger like sticking out of the cauldron pointed at the King of Hybern. Like, fantastic.
I like too that we get the little descriptor of the king being a little bit like unsettled by this too. He's like, I don't think I like this.
No, this woman is crazy.
Because I kind of imagined, I don't know if anybody else has like psychotic dogs, but this is how I feel when I'm trying to give my dogs a bath. So I vividly am like, Nesta, I understand what you're going through, but you also really need to take a bath right now. And it's kind of a bummer too, because like you get so much personality in this one scene for Nesta, and then her whole book feels kind of like flat.
Yeah, it's a letdown.
And I get that you kind of have to make the main character be like a write-in for the person reading it, but like you didn't have to do that to my girl.
No.
Like, you took all the good parts of her
And
super
left them
aggressive.
at ACOMAF.
Yeah. Because she was just so crazy. Like, I respect it.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's my dog I'm trying to wash, I don't respect it. But Nesta, I get what you're trying to do.
I liked Nesta so much more.
I know. But then she got kind of mid during her book. So, yeah. But she goes in the bathtub and apparently takes something with her.
Yeah, like a piece of the cauldron.
Which I, again, fucking love.
Yeah.
She's like, if I am involuntarily getting shoved into this bathtub, I am going to destroy the world while I'm at it. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
It's fantastic. Like, what a great setup for a character's story.
Yeah. And then there's some weird things about like the wards on the castle not allowing winnowing, but then somehow Feyre's like dismantling them.
They do some sort of sneaky plan thing where she pretends to agree to go with Tamlin, because the other plot going on is that the king wants to break the bond between Tamlin asked the king to break the bond between Feyre and Rhys.
Yeah. And
they pretend it's the bond, the tattoo thing that they did in ACOTAR, not the mate bond.
Yeah, because they pretend like it's the mate bond being broken, but it's actually the bargain being broken.
Yeah.
So they're still mates. Which, like, why would that hurt so bad if it's just like a bargain, unless it like turns into something else? Because again, that's why I'm confused of like,
it's weird. There's too many layers of things happening here. And then Feyre plays along and like pretends like, oh, I was forced into this bond mate thing with Rhys and Tamlin. Let's go back to the spring court. And so she puts on a good performance.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gross.
Yeah. Because that's why I was confused, is like, why did we need to do a second, like, you got me? Because she kind of did that before too. Like, I know she voluntarily was going back to the spring court because she was still in love with Tamlin, but we still got a little bit of that like double agent thing. And then she's like, we're going to do it again. It's like, how is this believable?
It's not at all. But Tamlin just swallows it up. He's like, okay, honey, like, yeah, let's just disregard the fact that, you know, you killed a bunch of my soldiers who came to rescue you.
Yeah. And also, like, she got a second tattoo on her other hand as if, like, he's not going to notice that because that's, like, the marriage tattoo. But it's like, how are you going to explain that one? Like, I just had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like, there was just a lot kind of thrown in at the end of, like, a...
And this is the end, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty much
it.
Like, she goes with Tamlin, the POV shifts.
Yeah.
So we have a chapter of just Rhys's POV because I feel like from an author perspective, you would have to do that to give the reader closure.
Yeah.
Because if you ended on her going with Tamlin and like no other hints whatsoever about like what's actually happening in the background, Rhys basically explains, oh, she's a double agent, like you're saying, like we have a spy in the spring court. And
for the readers, Jordan's eye roll, I felt the vibrations from it across the table.
I had no words, I just expression.
Yeah.
And then we shift back to Feyre, who's putting on a good show for Tamlin. And then that's the end of ACOMAF.
Yep. Yeah. Ta-da!
We're not doing book 3.
No. I know I've read book 3, but like I could not tell you if for the life of me what happens.
I
in
can
book
remember
3.
what book 4 is because that's Nesta's book. That's A Court of Silver Flames.
Oh, yeah.
But I have no idea what book 3 is.
No. The only thing I vaguely remember is Nesta beheading the King of Hybern. But again, that felt like too soon because then like what happens in the other books?
Oh no. Oh, we also skipped over in our review that Jurian comes back to life and he's like involved.
That's what I mean. Like there's too many things that are just random and like he's there because like why would he agree to work with Hybern?
I don't know.
I got confusion hands and I just don't understand. There's just a lot that's thrown into this little bit.
And this is, again, like the last 100 pages. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this whole scene is only like 20 pages.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Like barely that. And it's just everything.
We had as much page time dedicated to sexy time between Feyre and Rhys as we did with all of these plot developments.
Yeah. I want to know how that happened. Like going through the beta process and like, because it almost felt like it was an outline that they just turned into dialogue and called it good. Like, these are the plot points that we need to get through. Dialogue, bang. It's good now. Because, like, how did an editor, like, not find this off-putting?
This would have been a way better book had these developments been drawn out more and we had gotten less of the, like, basically it was just tension building between Rhys and Feyre for the first 2/3 of the book. Like,
which is confusing, too, because she could have done that tension building within these plot points.
Yeah.
Because no plot occurs in the first like half of this book. Like no bigger plot happens.
They could have started ACOMAF with them going to the summer court and getting like that.
Yeah.
We
did it.
Well, we're done. It's fine. That's the end of ACOMAF, and that's the last book of the pod for this season.
It kind of feels that was like a bad ending.
Yeah, I'm not quite thrilled and that we ended on this note because we started on such a high note.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We'll make up for it.
That's fair. This next episode is going to be a hot mess. Let me just like caveat that right now. There's going to be a lot of just craziness and back and forth, but it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. So if you haven't picked up yet already, we are going to do a closeout episode. What day will it come out? January. Isn't it New Year's?
You are asking me to do math. Oh, yeah, January 1st.
Yeah, so January 1st, New Year's Day, we will have our season 1 review. We will talk about all the books, all the heroines, all of our episode titles.
Yeah, that's just, the episode titles is just a full rerun of all of my, like, stupid moment, like, brain.
But brilliant. But brilliant, I would argue.
I hope so.
So... Yeah. Thanks for reading ACOMAF with us and ACOTAR and sticking through all the parts. It was a journey.
It was a lot. It was something.
Yeah.
But we did it.
Well, from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page.
That was sad.
I know. It was so sad. We even sound sad at the end. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.